So Shana Tova, Gmar Chatima Tova. Hope you are having a meaningful day. And let us begin. So, just a second, I also have some technical some technical things that I want to also introduce. Okay. So I think some of my Hungarian family and friends are still here, and they have been here with us. They were here last night, and I want to acknowledge that just about 40 years ago, on this very day, obviously, my parents took me to the big Dohány Street Synagogue in Budapest. I don't know if you know, but this is the biggest synagogue in Europe, the second biggest in the world. And also with it, there was uncountably many wooden benches and giant tall ceiling, colorful windows. And my parents told me we were going to a theater. It was the most bizarre theater you can imagine. First of all, it was huge, it was mostly empty. Women were sitting upstairs, men downstairs, like what's that idea about? There were people standing up and sitting down, people in the front were singing and talking and swapping roles, but there was no storyline. Familiar? Okay. So the thing was that it did not feel safe for them to tell me that we were going to a synagogue, neither that it was Yom Kippur or that we were Jewish. Actually, in the video, when people are saying, I am Jewish, for me it took a long time to be able to say that. And for me and my whole generation after the Holocaust, this kind of silence and feeling lost in our religion was familiar. But I also want to welcome my Hungarian family and friends here. It's good to have you with us, and it's safe in our shul. And then, fast forward 20 years later, I'm living in London with my 1-year-old baby and my husband Greg, who's a final year rabbinical student. And he goes to visit his friend and study partner of many years for his rabbinical ordination in LA. On his return, he tells me all about how it went, but there's one story that sticks with me and for years, and I still remember so well. And that was that one early morning they went for a mikvah swim on an empty beach in LA. And out of nowhere there came this guy who wanted to engage with them. The purpose of, wasn't sure what he wanted, but he gave them this wisdom. And this is what it was. This is what he told them. What you do to the web, you do to yourself. This message has been with me over many years, and it gained a new dimension recently as I was preparing this dvar Torah for today. So see how. And I want to immerse ourselves into actually the Torah story, what brought us here, which has a key, a melody, a song that we recite a lot on Yom Kippur, on other Yom Tovim as well. This is also what inspired Rabbi Emma last night for her dvar Torah. So this is another angle of that same song. It's the Adonai, Adonai, El Rachum V'Chanun. So where this comes from and what is the origin and the story of this is what comes now. So apparently this is one of the oldest texts in the, according to biblical scholarship, this is one of the oldest texts in the Torah. And the story goes, as you know, that the Israelites got the 10 Commandments twice. So here we go for second chances on Yom Kippur. So the first time, as you all know, was Shavuot, when there was a big gathering under the mountain that they were preparing for many days, when people in one voice said that we will accept the Torah. The thunders were seen and the lightning was heard, and I'm not mistaken, the senses were all mixed up. And the beginning of the 10 Commandments were heard, but then the people of Israel felt very overwhelmed and asked Moshe, please go up by yourself, talk to God, this is too much for us. And Moshe goes up, and the cloud comes down, and for many days they don't have Moshe or God with them. So days pass and weeks pass, and the people of Israel are getting desperate, not knowing what happened to Moshe and what happened to God. So remember what happens then in the bottom of the mountain? They create the golden calf. They bring sacrifices, they eat around it, and their hearts rise and they dance, just as Moshe is ready to come down. God is angry, Moshe is angry, and in his anger Moshe smashes the tablets. With the tablets also trust is broken all around. And what comes is a process of expressing and negotiating anger, fear, disappointment, hurt, grief, as well as encouragement to repair. The themes of our day. We are here again. God is angry with the people, but God has a soft spot for Moshe. And with Moshe, God feels safe. And God feels safe to reveal God's softest side, the side that is the kind, the merciful, the slow to anger, which is our song, the one that is not revealed to many. And that's when Moshe, who's a good leader, asked God, please, this is the sign, like, please do this for the people as well. So Moshe asked God also, can I please see you? Can I please get as close as possible to you? And God says, no, I can come as close as possible, but you can't see my face. But God walks past Moshe, and Moshe sees God's back. Some say, the Midrash says that it was God's talit that Moshe saw, and it was also made of light. And this is when actually God tells the words of this song about, or expresses or shows this kindness, this mercifulness, this compassionateness, this softest, gentlest, kindest part of God. And this is when God says, okay, I'd like you to do this for the people as well. And God, after all this encounter, accepts it and says, okay, fine, I'll do this for the people as well. And this song becomes a secret code for generation, a reminder, a mantra to sing when the people of Israel want to come back to God and seek God's mercy. This is how we also sing it several times today. What follows is Moshe fetching a new pair of tablets, spends another 40 days with God, but no other golden calf is being created. And interesting that the rabbis say that when after these 40 days, when Moshe comes down with the tablets, it's actually 10th of Tishrei, the date of today, and that's how Yom Kippur is created. When the full tshuva is done, that's when Yom Kippur is going to happen year by year. So we know what happened down the mountain while important business was being done at the top. and how this led to a major break in trust in summary, and then repair and arrival to the second tablets, and Yom Kippur is here now. What I'm curious about in this whole story is, and what kept my mind, is what was the problem at the, what was the sin? Was it that they created a touchable creature to replace their untouchable God and values? Materialism as opposed to also values. Was it that they lost faith? That they thought Moshe and God disappeared forever? Was it that they returned to the cult of Egypt, whereas they were supposed to move away from that? I like to say that one of the things that I love about Judaism, Jewish tradition, is that several ideas, several interpretations can fit next to each other, and they create this beautiful crystal, and the many faces of the Torah as well, next to each other. However, my interpretation, or my take on this thing is that something else has also happened. I would like to suggest that there was something that they discovered here, and where they actually sinned. It was the power of community. As a community they sinned. That they, as communally, they despaired. And as a community effort, they put this golden calf together. And as a community sat together and ate together, and their hearts opened and their hearts rose, then they celebrated. And it all sounds good, but the problem was that they misused the power of community. When we say the Vidui confession on Yom Kippur, we say them in plural, in first person plural. We did this, we did that. And up until now, I used to think, and it still, of course, stands, that maybe we say it in first person singular because we want to support our fellows, and within our voices give support to them, and we get the support as well to admit to some of the things that we wouldn't want to be like, hey, I did that. But together we give each other power. But this new understanding is that maybe it is a confession for what we did as a community, how we misused our power, our communal power, how we should take responsibility and think about where our community needs to go, and how we need to change the world together, and where are we responsible for this in the community, and a community for our moves. So remember how we all worked so hard 2 years ago to avoid day zero. It was only possible that by everyone working hard together to save water. We know how this pandemic showed us how we are all connected, and we only need a little invisible virus, and we can all be hugely affected. We are one big unit. And how meeting here on Zoom week by week meant we are holding one another. The power of community. We only need one person to giggle in a quiet room, and we all start to smile. If we do harmful actions, even if it seems it affects only ourselves or one other person, we actually cause harm to the whole net, the community we are embraced by. So we need to see that when a person drills a hole in a boat, it's not only them who are in danger. Also, changes like women being ordained to be rabbis, or new constitution to be made in a country, can only happen if enough people support it. So we have a huge responsibility here. On this day, we need to also do tshuva as a community, and to make sure we are aligning well and moving forward well. spiritually, in actions, holding one another, holding sacredness, and that we as a whole are moving in the right direction. What if we were using the first person plural for the rest of the 364 days of the year? And where it all comes back together, our Machzor, the guy in LA, and the memory and my memory from 40 years ago, sitting in the half-empty synagogue that I was told was a theater. The web, the message is extended. What you do to the web, you do to yourself. And with the teaching of this Yom Kippur, what you do to yourself, you do to the web. While being part of the big web, sometimes it feels we are really just small particles. Our Machzor even says that we are like passing shadows and little dust. Our origin is dust and our end is dust. But coming back to the theater memory from my childhood, as we enact the stories and learn about ourselves and our communities through these stories on these holidays, realizing what we do does matter and we grow by them. I'd like to quote Rabbi Andi YK, who we sat in shul with last year in New York. He said, "We might be dust, but not just any dust. We are stardust." So as I conclude, I would like to bless us all, each of us that are made of stars, that on this day we feel that powerful connection to the web that binds us, and that we give our energy generously and compassionately to it. May we forgive and be forgiven. May our year ahead be filled with blessings.